In this video, we've got a chock-a-block ear canal with a bit of middle ear effusion.
Ooh, good mixture, good mixture.
My name is Taylor Green. I am one of the audiologists here at Audiology Associates.
My name's Rhys Barber. I'm the other audiologist, and we're going to be guiding you through this ear wax removal video today, explaining what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what tools we're using as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. This is yours, actually. This is your patient, so it's sticky, isn't it?
Yep. So we're trying to... So I've got the standard size Zollner tube here, which is the larger of our suction tubes. You can see it's kind of dry in here. There's not really any oil that's gone in here. You can kind of tell by the sort of pink skin underneath. You can see as we're peeling it, it's kind of leaving those little flaky, tiny flaky bits. So we have popped a little bit of oil in here now, just because I've started to lift and it's already started to peel. So
what does the oil do, just in case you're new to the channel?
Yeah, so if you're new to the channel, the reason we tend to put olive oil in on the day is to help with the peeling of dead and dry skin. If the patient hasn't used any oil, it just makes it a lot easier. But I mean, in this case, it's still quite tricky because I mean, it doesn't really change the consistency much, but it affects the way we can get a grip on it, and the way it peels down the ear canal.
So it's softened. So when you're looking at suction, you're trying to take something out with suction, you're almost relying on getting a good kind of seal on the end of the suction tube. So having that oil layer there just helps it to bed slightly and increases the seal. But it also helps when it's working, when you're peeling it, the oil is working underneath the next layer of skin you're trying to peel up. Because the skin grows like a conveyor belt inside the ear canal, so it's long strips of dead skin, which is what Taylor's fighting with here. So that skin wants to really hold on to the ear canal. It doesn't want to, it's going to grip in for dear life. It doesn't want to let go. And then when you've got a piece of wax in the middle of it, that's when it becomes more difficult to remove. One thing I did notice at the start was that suction tube looks really tight in that ear canal. Is this quite a narrow canal?
It is quite narrow because I'm kind of holding the ear open as well at this point, but it's also got like a bit of a bend to it as well. So there's
not a good combo.
And this is, you can see this is kind of the plug now that we've got a grip of. So it's like a parcel normally, like a present, isn't it? Like a Christmas present. It's you've got like all this dead skin that's wrapped around these plugs that usually are formed in the very center. Yeah,
I would say it's like dim sum. Where you kind of pinch the top, and it's all the skin wraps around that plug. Yeah,
it's not for everyone, dim sum. I actually quite enjoyed it. I've only been once, but I really enjoyed it.
So switching tools again. So this is the curette now. So this is basically a manual tool. So there's no suction involved in this part. Manual tool with a kind of hooped end that comes to a slight point.
Yeah, you can see all this now is just like unraveling. So all that dead skin is just unfolding now as I'm trying to roll this forwards. I could have just stuck with the suction, but it kind of gets to the point where in some cases it gets trapped inside the ear canal and you really struggle to get it moving.
It's a nice
so we've got a nice big piece up, but you can see we're still full in there.
You can see as well that layer of dry skin that you were talking about earlier that's wrapping around. You can all that where you can see it almost looks like there's a ripple effect to it. That's dead skin that's peeled away from the ear canal, isn't it?
And we've still got to be really careful with these manual tools because well, there's a lot of people who have had this done before, but for those people who haven't had it done before, it's very sensitive in this area of the ear canal, especially. The ear canal is essentially just a layer of skin on bone at this point in this portion of the ear canal. So we need to try and avoid touching the ear canal if we can help it. It happens sometimes, you know, if we can't see the ear canal, which is why you have to go really slow and careful because you know, some patients can't jump out of their skin when even just a little touch kind of feels like a pinch. So yeah, it catches some people off guard.
There was actually rewatching a video that we did. Actually, one of the first videos, episode 33. That's how long back it was, because we're 1,238. So if you do enjoy the videos, you can always hit the subscribe button, like, share, follow. That'd be absolutely fab. But there's plenty of others for you to go back and watch in the back catalogue. But
black and white,
There's a big moustache there. I did have one of those.
Top hat.
Didn't have the top hat. No. So yeah, we explained in there because it's not not, I suppose it's not really known for when looking at the video, but we don't actually anaesthetize the patients. There's no anaesthetic in here, so the patient is fully awake and everything while this is going on. So that is a heck of a skin plug, that one, isn't it?
Thought we had a bit of a ribbon going on.
It almost did, didn't it? You can get this, the skin can come off and wrap around itself, which forms these long ribbons inside the canal. It did look like it was going to go that way, but look how this is just chock-a-block. Absolutely chock-a-block.
So you can see what we said about the like middle ear effusion. What we tend to look for when we're looking at an eardrum is a nice, clear, sort of pearly,
shiny.
Yeah, and what you can kind of see. I mean, I know I only went really quick in there. Then you might have to pause the video. Going back to the eardrum, but there's a couple of little patches towards the bottom half of the eardrum, which kind of looks like honey, and that is a usual indicator that there's a bit of middle ear effusion. So middle ear effusion is just like a thicker fluid that builds up behind the eardrum, which is what the ear produces, and it's not a fluid that comes into your ear.
Yeah. So it's just behind the eardrum, the back of the eardrum and the whole middle ear space where those three little bones are found is covered with mucosal producing cells, and it's supposed to produce this mucus in there because it keeps that area nice and clean. So every time you yawn, swallow or chew, that fluid drains down through something called a eustachian tube, and you just swallow it away without realizing you're doing it. And that is perfectly normal. Everyone's doing that all the time without realizing you're doing it. It only becomes a problem if that fluid doesn't drain away, because if you imagine you've got, instead of an air-filled space, you end up with a fluid-filled space. So when the sound hits the eardrum, instead of pushing against air, it's pushing against fluid. So it does tend to drop the hearing a little bit at that time. It usually resolves itself about 6 weeks, thereabouts.
Usually,
it'll usually resolve itself on its own because the ear is constantly trying to drain it away.
You know, Brian, I normally have a problem with it if I have a bit of a nasty cold.
We do your tip, don't we? And
it's always like negative and negative or flat. Oh gosh. But
so this is skin again.
Go on. Yeah, it's exactly the same on this side. But I was going to say the going back to the fluid again. Popping and crackling in your ear is normal, so it's not anything to kind of worry about. So it's just if it's happening quite a lot and your hearing has dropped quite a bit, it typically usually only affects one side with the fluid. It can affect both, but it's a bit more rare to see both sides full up with fluid.
Unless you've had a really stinker of a cold, a real heavy old cold. It was. One thing I would say, guys, if you do notice any change in your hearing, the advice we used to give is go along to your GP, go along to your doctor. I think people are finding it increasingly difficult to get appointments with GPs just because they're so oversubscribed, bless them. So you can go along to, if you're in the UK, you can go along to pharmacists, and you can go along to high street audiologists as well and get a free assessment done usually. So it's worth checking that out. US, I'm not too sure. I know we've got a big US audience. I'm not too sure because obviously the healthcare system's a little bit different over there. So you would need to check to see how you could get in. But don't sit on any hearing issues. Any changes in hearing, don't wait. Go and get it checked just to be on the safe side.
So we come to the back end of this now. So this is, I thought it was going to come away really easy, but it looks like it's still attached.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
So we've switched up now. I think we've gone more, that was the fine end that you just saw, which is the smaller suction tube, but this is the standard size, which is the larger of the two.
So why would you use a different size tube inside the ear canal? Why would you use the fine end instead of it's not exam?
Sorry for that. You can see the retraction there, so you can see how spread that there's the light reflex. So that the retraction is where the eardrum is just sucking inwards. Again, it's very, very common with that middle ear fluid or effusion. But yeah, the standard size on the tube.
Versus the fine end.
I'm not telling them.
No.
No,
it's on a need to know basis, I'm afraid, guys.
some of these bigger bits, we use a fine end usually for the more fine jobs, for the smaller little tiny bits or little bits of thin skin. The standard size tube we tend to use for the chunkier pieces.
That's the workhorse tube, isn't it?
It's a slightly stronger suction power, so we do manage to get a better grip, and it's more effective at those slightly bigger ones.
There you go. So what you have, I'll do inches, go on, 2.5 inches.
6.5 centimeters.
Yeesh, there's a lot there, guys.
Beast, those, yeah.
Well, guys, don't forget that we will be putting another video up. We can never remember which corner it is on YouTube. It's one of these two corners. That is actually a really interesting video. That is a false fundus, which is a really interesting one for you to watch, with some more middle-ear effusion as well. So check that one out. But if you do enjoy the videos, please like, heart, share, follow, and subscribe for us, guys. If you really, really enjoy the videos, you can also consider becoming members of the channel. That way, then you get to see 2 more videos every single week, because we do post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday to subscribers, and Tuesday, Thursday to members as well. So check that one out. But in the meantime, guys, take care of yourselves.
Take care of your ears.
And take care of one another. And myself and the lovely Mrs. Say the Green. We'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.